This big metal or aluminum shape. That's the number one point. The second point is that when you look at something on a screen, it's very hard to see the exact proportions. Just like when you see a movie and you see a movie star, sometimes you think they're taller than they really are. You see them in reality and they look different. And that's the same with a car. So we mill this out and we check the size of the different areas, the proportions of the whole vehicle. And it's actually better, I think, to make then these changes right there and then by hand, scan it and put it back into the computer. You actually save time that way. But for me, the ultimate thing is emotion. To get this sort of almost human feeling into the shape is what you need to do in clay by hand. Well, for us at Fisker, clay model is essential. It's essential to have clay modeling because it's where you get that final human, that sculpture, that human feeling in it. And that's something that I would never give up. I think it's a must. It's nothing to do with that we don't have the best alias models in the world or alias modelers, but it's really to do with to get that final essence, almost that artistic touch out, and that emotional feeling has to happen in clay. So for me, you cannot make a great car design without clay. Well, the artistic expression that happens in a clay model is probably pretty similar to what happens in digital modeling, that you have input from a designer and you have input from the modeler, and that sort of fuses together. When we talk about clay modeling, you actually see it right there and then, what's happening as you potentially are removing clay or you're adding clay. So the designer can almost say, stop, that's it, there it is, and you can discuss it sort of in real time. When you do it on a computer, you usually have the alias modeler first build a surface and then the designer takes a look at that surface. So it's a little more interactive on clay. Also, I think the fact that it's reality, you see it right there and then, you probably extract slightly more on the artistic side out of a full-size clay model. Today, we actually spend a lot more time doing digital modeling before you get to a clay model. So by the time you get to the clay model, you have a pretty good idea of the design, and it actually takes a lot of what I would have called boring clay model work out of the equation that used to happen many years ago, where the clay model will block everything in from the very beginning. Today we start with a milled out model that at least have the design, sort of initial design concept there, and usually it's built with a foam buck. You then add clay, probably about 30-40 millimeter, and then you mill out this vehicle, this clay model, and then you start the actual sculpting, but you're much closer to where you want to be. So the clay model don't anymore have to do some, very early work where they just, block everything in from scratch. So I think with design, we actually don't inform each other, we work together. What's changing in the car industry is that design and tech is actually reflecting on each other, and design needs to use technology, and technology will enable design. That's how I see it. What do you think, Luca?
Yeah, I think a perfect example is UI UX. Beautiful design with a seamless technology behind that makes the customer happy, and usability is the key element here. So it's a flow to work together between design and technology.
I agree. I think a designer's role today has shifted, in my view, when we talk about integrating tech, because you actually have to work so early together. In the old days, I think you designed something and then tech came in and said, okay, we're going to try and do this. But now you're working together because we're talking about creating certain experiences that actually only works if you both design and technology is working together at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. You put finally the customer into the center to experience technology and design. I think that's the difference. In the past, maybe everybody was excited about the technology, but it's a use. So the customer in the center with a beautiful design and the technology, that's a key change.
Yeah, I fundamentally think it's going to change how we design vehicles in the future. And specifically when we talk about the customer experience and everything the driver and the passenger sees and experience inside the vehicle, it's a whole new way of designing.
So for me, a car becomes a mobile device. It's an IoT. It's connected to the back end. It's pieced in the cloud, which can be coordinated, gets new software updates continuously to keep the customer excited over lifetime using its product. That's why I call it smartphoneization. That's what's happening with our cars right now.
I agree. And one of the challenges is going to be that we're going to be able to update our vehicles maybe through the next 10, 12 years, keep them fresh, even 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. But what does that mean for design? That means that your design cannot be old already after 2 or 3 years. So that also means you have to think about how we create more of a timeless design, which is kind of what you have seen in the phone industry. I mean, how much did the Apple iPhone change since it first came out? Not a lot, because what really changed is all the stuff that's put in there, right?
Yeah, right. The underlying performance, right? The calculation power. This needs to be provided to the customer experience. That's changing continuously, but it's upgrades. The customer should not see that, but they should experience that with a beautiful integrated UI UX with the design and the components and the features. So that's what we need to take care.
I mean, we are entering a whole new era of the automotive industry. We are going to be a digital car company. We're still going to do design, but we're going to have a lot of technology in the vehicles.
SpeedZar Services, where the average car owner gives their opinion on their personal car.